We're kicking off with SmackDown as Solo Sikoa has assumed the leadership of the Bloodline since Roman Reigns' loss at WrestleMania and has recruited two of the most dangerous men in the family. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa have been creating havoc on WWE's landscape, and this week the trio, alongside Paul Heyman, opened SmackDown to induct Loa into the Bloodline. Heyman began by setting the record straight that Solo would be the head of the table until Roman Reigns come back to WWE, and the fan chants made clear they wanted Reigns back. Heyman turned his attention to Tama Tonga, who he christened the right-hand man, and introduced the WWE Universe to the infamous Tonga Loa as the newest member of the Bloodline. As Heyman concluded, Solo reminded him to thank Tama and Loa for saving him from an attack by Kevin Owens, and he did so nervously with Tama Tonga saying it was on the orders of the tribal chief. As Heyman announced that Owens had already arrived to SmackDown to go after the Bloodline, the prizefighter arrived, and while outnumbered at first, was backed up by the Street Profits. Owens, with a steel chair, sent the Bloodline retreating to end the segment, and due to the opening segment, a six-man tag team match was made. Unsurprisingly, these six men brought the same fire to this match as they did to the Brawl at the top of the show, with the Bloodline seeming more focused on hurting the faces than winning. Sikoa nailed Ford with a spear instead of his usual Samoan spike before everyone from the Bloodline put KO through the announce desk with a triple powerbomb. The match ended in a disqualification, but the Bloodline were the ones standing tall when it was over, another sign of the dominance of the Solo Sikoa-led faction. Now, it was during the end of the Bray Wyatt Becoming Immortal documentary that fans got their first tease of Uncle Howdy's return, and those teases have grown ever since WrestleMania. Glitches and QR codes have been appearing each week on WWE TV, and the latest SmackDown was no different, as a code flashed at the end of a segment with Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman. Once scanned, it led to a webpage that had a notepad file titled Gratitude, with a lengthy message with the general gist being a dark force thanking them for what they have done. The writer was grateful for them helping it find its way, and hinted that the wait for their return won't be much longer now. The gratitude document had plenty to say, but there was also a hidden message in the source code that contained some locked image files. These images spelling out the phrase, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here," which is the sign over hell in Dante's epic poem, The Divine Comedy. Wrestling fans will also know it as the sign that hung over the door to the Firefly Funhouse, in another example of these teases being linked to Bray Wyatt. With these captivating teasers, WWE is effectively building anticipation for what promises to be an exciting storyline involving Uncle Howdy and a stable led by the man himself. Fans are eagerly awaiting more clues, and do you think the Firefly Funhouse could return with the comeback of Uncle Howdy? Let us know in the comments section below. SmackDown also saw Nia Jax and Mia Yim confront each other backstage, which ended with Yim throwing a drink in Jax's face, outraging the 2024 WWE Queen of the Ring. The two brawled immediately after, and WWE officials had to separate them, but during the brawl, Jax was involved in a hilarious moment as she slipped and landed on the floor. Taking to Twitter, Yim took credit for this literal slip-up, saying that liquid and polished cement floor goes well together, and told Jax she'll see her next week. It's interesting to put Jax and Yim together, given both have plans already in the works, with Jax eyeing up a title match at SummerSlam, while Yim will compete at NXT Battleground. Nevertheless, the two will seemingly meet next week, and we imagine Jax will ensure the floor is bone dry the next time, and would love nothing more than to embarrass Michin Mia Yim. The excitement didn't stop after this week's SmackDown, as a dark match saw a new champion be crowned, and his name is Andrade. In his first title win since returning to WWE, Andrade captured the WWE Speed Championship from Ricochet, and this match will be aired on WWE Speed at a later date. If you follow Tony Khan on social media, you'll know the AEW president will speak his mind, and that certainly happened this week about the viewership for the latest Collision. After the show, it was reported that just 122,000 had tuned into the show, while an updated figure claimed the actual viewership was over triple that at 378,000. It was later claimed by Dave Meltzer that the initial Fast Nationals number was shared to a reporter by WWE, and on Twitter, Khan hit out at what WWE had allegedly done. In a tweet, Khan shared that this was another case of predatory business practices by WWE, and spoke of the territories and Jim Crockett promotions that had been hurt by these tactics. Khan also expressed gratitude for the AEW fans and their support and highlighted the upcoming episode of Rampage, underscoring the importance of viewership and engagement. Tony Khan is fiercely passionate about AEW on social media and joked recently that he was booking for the Sickos, though his hands-on approach can't be denied. But what do you make of all this? Do you have an issue with the business practice of WWE? Or is all fair in this ratings war? Let us know down in the comments. Later this month, AEW will host its annual Forbidden Door event, which won't just see AEW and New Japan talent, but there will also be representation from Mexico's CMLL. AEW has seen an influx of Mexican talent recently, and in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's noted that the policy between AEW, CMLL, and New Japan has been updated. This new policy means Mexican-born wrestlers who have not recently worked for AAA are allowed to appear on shows featuring CMLL talent, which wasn't the case before. Sources indicate that stars like Rey Fenix, who hasn't wrestled for AAA in a long time, are permitted to appear on these shows, but the situation is different with Rush. Although he was present at the event, he did not wrestle, and it's added that AEW's Commander, who currently holds the AAA Cruiserweight title, won't work shows with CMLL talent. El Hijo del Vikingo will also not be allowed to work on shows with CMLL stars when he's healthy, and consistency suggests that Bandito, upon his return, will be categorized like Rey Fenix. CMLL and AAA are fierce rivals, and AEW are trying to find the balance between both sides, and we'll have to see who gets the chance to compete at Forbidden Door later this month. Cody Rhodes was in no mood for games on this week's SmackDown after AJ Styles' fake retirement led to a vicious beatdown on Rhodes at the end of SmackDown last week. The American Nightmare had revenge on his mind, waiting for AJ Styles in the parking lot all night, but when the Phenomenal One arrived, the security guards separated the duo. Rhodes headed to the ring to settle the score, and AJ arrived with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, but Nick Aldis and his security team also rushed to the scene. AJ began by dismissing Cody's wishes and demanded an undisputed WWE title match at Clash at the Castle, a match Rhodes agreed to, but with a stipulation added. Rhodes and Styles will meet in Glasgow in an I Quit match, and with emotions running high, Cody tried to get his hands on AJ, only for Styles to hit him with a sucker punch. But what are your thoughts on Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles in an I Quit match at Clash at the Castle? Sound off in the comments. AJ Styles' performance last week when he delivered his fake retirement speech was quite convincing, and there was no shortage of fans who were fooled at the time. Styles' ruse made a lot of fans think back to Mark Henry's fake speech in 2013, which had the fans in tears before he ambushed then WWE Champion John Cena. In a recent interview with Fightful, Henry was asked for his take on Styles' performance last week, and the WWE Hall of Famer loved what he saw. I loved it. I feel a sense of pride when I'm being honored, and WrestleMania, Bianca Belair did a Mark Henry spot and walked up the steps and pressed her opponent into the ring. Whenever people do stuff like that, Braun Strowman did it several times, I just feel a sense of accomplishment. You feel like a proud papa, and I got a text message from AJ Styles saying, "Man, I hope I made you proud." It made my eyes well up. So having an effect on people, it's sometimes greater than you doing it yourself. I don't know if I explained that properly. I felt in my heart enough to make me tear up, so that was pretty damn special. Henry's days in the ring are seemingly over, but he clearly made an impression on many, and AJ Styles' ruse proved to be quite the tribute to the world's strongest man last week. It was back in 2016 that AJ Styles joined WWE full-time, an act that for years many fans assumed would simply never happen. Now Styles is one of the longest tenured talents on WWE's main roster, and the Phenomenal One doesn't plan on ending his career anywhere else. Speaking to Bernard Colas, Styles spoke about his future, and despite his impressive runs in TNA and New Japan, he plans to hang up his boots as a WWE superstar. He said, "Well, obviously the goal is to become WWE Heavyweight Champion of the world, but it's also important to be a team player. I always want to be a part of the team and not just think it's all about me or that I deserve everything. We don't deserve anything, we have to earn it. But I strive to be a team player while aiming for the top. I definitely want to finish my career here. When I retire, I would love for it to be right here in WWE." As for when that day will come, it's hard to say, as while Styles said in 2019 he had signed his final contract as a wrestler, he would sign a new deal years later. It's clear that retirement is something on Styles' mind, and we can only hope he receives a proper send-off when he retires, an act that will take place in WWE. But what do you make of this? Are you okay with Styles retiring in WWE, or would you like to see him try his skills in another company one more time? Let us know down in the comments. In the escalation of their budding feud, Carmelo Hayes took on LA Knight on SmackDown, with Melo taking the first shots at his opponent as he came out of the gate hot. Knight fired back after he had a moment to recover, and it'd be the megastar who got the win by reversing a pinning combination and getting the 3 count. Post-match, LA Knight grabbed a headset and addressed Logan Paul by saying he would come find him as Knight continues his feud with the Maverick and his pursuit of the US title. As for Carmelo Hayes, this likely won't be the last bout in this feud, as it was good, but it never felt like a conclusion. Hayes is going to get his win back eventually, and with how his main roster run has gone so far, a meaningful win is exactly what's needed for the former NXT champion. It was at Double or Nothing that Adam Copeland retained the TNT title against Malachi Black, but in the match, he suffered a fractured tibia that has led to the title being vacated. During an appearance on Busted Open Radio, Copeland revealed that he has since undergone surgery, but his operation was not without its complications. The Rated R superstar revealed that the issue was with where the break is, as it happened right above his ankle joint, and there were shards of his tibia and fibula in a difficult-to-reach area. Thankfully, this matter was dealt with during the surgery, and Copeland shared that the doctors had to essentially compact the area with plates and screws to put him back together. It's unclear when Copeland will be able to wrestle again, but as he explained, he's been able to take things easy with a combination of DoorDash, reading, and playing Dr. Mario. Copeland is trying to focus on the positives, such as saying this injury enhances his grizzled veteran persona, and we're wishing him a full and speedy recovery. Right now, few people in wrestling have more eyes on them than Jordynne Grace, as the TNA Knockout will challenge for the WWE NXT Women's title at Battleground this Sunday. Grace was at the last 2 weeks of NXT tapings and has been getting along well with those of the show, which is certainly a good sign for any future collaborations. Speaking in an interview with NXT alum Mackenzie Mitchell, Grace spoke about how it feels going from idolizing the likes of Shawn Michaels to working with him as part of this collab. She said, "We actually had a conversation yesterday where Shawn said something similar, and it's just like, it makes me so emotional, like to see that someone you looked up to and watched as a kid just like believes in you specifically." Grace added that she experienced a moment of surprise and gratitude when she stumbled upon a tweet from Triple H in which he hyped her up, signaling his endorsement and support. "I was backstage yesterday and I was just scrolling on my phone, and whether it's from, Triple H's personal account or whether someone runs it for him, I saw a tweet come up from him where he tweeted something like, 'If you haven't seen the TNA Knockouts before, you're in for a treat.' And I was just like, what is even happening right now? Like, DX is just like my biggest fan, and I have both of their numbers in my phone. I don't know what's happening." Grace has the wrestling world's eyes on her, with speculation an NXT talent will answer her open challenge at Against All Odds, and we'll have to see if she leaves Battleground with 2 titles. Jordynne Grace's appearances for WWE have certainly been making headlines and building interest in NXT, but unfortunately the same can't be said for TNA Wrestling. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's reported that TNA was disappointed with the viewership for their May 30th show, which came after Grace's NXT debut. TNA had hoped that with Grace appearing and multiple references to TNA, their viewership would rise dramatically, but that simply didn't happen with last week's Impact. Contract news now, as Chad Gable has been having quite the run in WWE lately after turning heel in pursuit of the Intercontinental Championship after WrestleMania 40. This push comes amid a time when Gable's contract with WWE has been winding down, and in The Observer, more has come to light about the Olympian's current status. At this time, Chad has yet to sign a new deal despite his current one setting to expire within days, but he's been given an amazing offer to re-sign with WWE. However, he also has people in AEW who are pushing him to Tony Khan, but AEW cannot legally make him an offer until he is a free agent, which isn't the case just yet. While Gable's future in the company remains uncertain, it's clear that the star has attained a massive position in the industry thanks to his athletic ability and character work. Wherever he goes next, Gable will have a lot of eyes on him, and fans may have a clearer image of his future depending on the result of his upcoming title match with Sami Zayn. SmackDown also saw WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair face Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae in a rematch from WWE King and Queen of the Ring. Bizarrely, the match had initially been advertised as just Cargill versus Hartwell, but was changed before SmackDown started without a specific reason given. The champions once again reigned supreme, only to be attacked by Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, as well as Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, leading to a 3-team all-out brawl. The Unholy Alliance and Stark and Baszler then fought each other in the ring, but it was the champs who stood tall at the end after hitting the KOD and Jaded in stereo. Backstage, Byron Saxton caught up with Cargill and Belair as they exited SmackDown GM Nick Aldis's offer and announced that a triple threat tag title match has been confirmed. This match will take place next week at WWE Clash at the Castle Scotland, and who do you expect to see leave Glasgow with the gold? Share your predictions in the comments. We've got some unfortunate injury news now as NXT superstar Javier Bernal recently took to Twitch to share that he is dealing with a broken foot. Bernal will miss 6 months of in-ring action, and he suffered the injury during a tag team match against Chase U at the most recent NXT Level Up tapings. An emotional Bernal shared that he would undergo surgery and would be away for 6 months, and we're wishing him the absolute best on his recovery. Tag teams met in singles action this week as Grayson Waller took on Johnny Gargano, and the WWE Tag Team Champion used his size to take the early advantage. Gargano's speed and experience helped him even the playing field, all while Austin Theory and Tommaso Ciampa were there to support their respective teammates. For the most part, Ciampa and Theory were just there to support their allies and didn't interfere, allowing the two talented wrestlers in the ring to show what they can do. Gargano's experience was evident, and you could also see how far Waller has come as an in-ring performer, as at no point did he feel out of place in the ring with a veteran. The Aussie icon scored a win with his finisher and celebrated while Theory was injured at ringside due to a suicide dive from Gargano and looked upset that Waller didn't come to his aid. During SmackDown, Bayley came out to address her upcoming title match at Clash at the Castle, but it was interrupted by Chelsea Green and her Glasgow opponent Piper Niven. Green insulted the role model and Naomi by calling them losers, but the WWE Women's Champion spoke to Niven and told her how much she respected her. Niven responded by saying that Bayley knows nothing about her and mentioned that she won a world championship before she even came to WWE and plans to win gold at Clash at the Castle. This statement seemed to make the role model a bit concerned, as she had a worried look on her face, and we'll have to see if Bayley can retain the gold in Niven's home country next week. Right now on Raw, Liv Morgan has been getting awful close with Dominik Mysterio, despite Mysterio's on-screen relationship with Morgan's fierce rival, Rhea Ripley. The Australian is out of action right now, but is seemingly still watching WWE, as on social media, she shared that she was working out because murder is wrong. Ripley clearly isn't happy with what's been going on Raw, and Dominik may be on course for quite the confrontation with Mommy once she's fully healed. Now AEW has a stacked roster with many talented tag teams, but it now appears that the All Elite company could soon see the arrival of the Von Erichs. In The Observer, it's noted that Ross and Marshall Von Erich are in talks to join AEW very soon, and the former MLW tag champs would bring a wealth of talent to the tag team division. And we're ending with Natalya, who's been a cornerstone of WWE's roster since 2008, but recently it was confirmed that her contract with WWE will expire this month. Despite a constant presence on WWE NXT as well as on the main roster, a new deal has yet to be signed, with many speculating whether Natalya's days as a superstar are ending. Fightful Select reports that while the two sides are in negotiations, no new deal has been finalized as of Thursday, in spite of a promising new direction on Raw. It is anticipated that Natalya will see considerable interest from outside WWE across the globe, with speculation she could be offered roles beyond just wrestling. There has also been inquiries about Natalya being a part of this year's Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament, with sources saying it's plausible depending on the timing. With that said, there's been no confirmation from AEW on whether they expect her involvement, and if she does intend to participate, then Natalya will have to let her WWE contract expire. This would be a huge loss to WWE, especially when it comes to the NXT roster, as she has played a crucial role as a mentor to emerging talent in the Gold brand. Her exit would leave a noticeable void in NXT, and with that in mind, fans are eagerly awaiting news of her next move, keen to see where her extensive experience and talent will take her next.